Surfing is full of larger-than-life, loud, and outspoken characters. Just for a change, let's talk about the quiet ones. Specifically, Curren. Welcome to the Wipeout Weekly, the daily podcast for beginners, wannabe surfers, and seasoned wipeout enthusiasts. No hype, no filler, just the highs, lows, and honest truth about learning to surf and finding your place in surf culture. I'm your host, Suze Wilson. Let's go out. The first time I learned about Curren was when watching Riding Giants, a documentary by Stacy Peralta. Knowing what I know about him now, I am very surprised he even participated, very briefly, as a talking head. And stealing chickens with Greg Knoll? What is that about? Matt Warshaw, in the Encyclopedia of Surfing, described Pat as an impenetrable surfer, who once, when asked to answer to the Surfer Mag questionnaire in 1963, responded, Question, what do you like about surfing? No answer. Club affiliation? None. Personal surfing history? No answer. Hobbies? No answer. Other sports of interest to you? Diving? Future plans? No answer. Outlook for surfing? No answer. A big wave surfer, Fred Van Dyke, said about Pat, I'm not sure anyone really knew Pat. I don't think anyone ever penetrated his depth. And that was sort of his charm. He was quiet, strong, and silent, sort of a John Wayne type. The image I'll always have is from Waimea, one day in 25-foot surf. We're all standing around, waxing our boards, and there's Pat with a cigarette and a beer. He walks down to the shore, flips the beer over his head, kicks the cigarette into the ocean, paddles out, and catches the wave of the day. Pat was born in 1932 in Carlsbad, California, and grew up mainly in Mission Beach, San Diego. At 18, after he dropped out of high school, he moved to La Jolla and began surfing. And later, became an original member of the famous La Jolla-based Wincy Surf Club. In 1955, Pat traveled to Hawaii for the very first time, and 2 years later, alongside Greg Knoll, Mickey Munoz, and others, he surfed at Makaha and Waimea. Or more like, attempted to surf. Because these were big waves, and they were wee surfers on the boards that couldn't handle them. When Pat returned to California, he committed himself to shaping the first big wave guns, including the Stiletto, a board specifically made for Waimea. In the early 90s, he produced 6 full-size balsa guns, selling them at $3,500 each. His 11-foot elephant gun got auctioned for $26,000. I'm stealing this description of Pat straight from the EOS. Please don't sue me, Matt. Curren had meanwhile become the most patient of the big wave surfers and would often sit quietly for 2 hours or longer, waiting for the right wave. He took off on fewer Waimea waves than any of his companions, but invariably got the one that everybody remembered. Once up and riding, Curren kept his feet and legs fairly close together and used a medium crouch with a ramrod straight back and arms swept out like wings. Nearly mute at times, Curren nonetheless had a fully developed sense of humor. In the winter of 1958, inspired by the Anglo-Saxon legend of Beowulf, he rented a 3-bedroom house on the North Shore along with 8 other La Jolla surfers, gutted the interior so it was essentially one high-ceilinged room with a surfboard rack along the wall, and built a giant communal table down the center. Curren called it Mead Hall and presided over dinners with a Viking helmet jammed down over his close-cropped black hair. Say it again about having a sense of humor, because Pat got married at midday in Hawaii and surfed Waimea that afternoon. He moved around first with his family, then on his own to Costa Rica, then near San Jose del Cabo, finally moving back to California where he died at the age of 90. And lest we forget, he's the father of Tom Curren, another surf legend. And that's all for today. Check out the Waipea Weekly for our free newsletter, more stories, and ways to connect with us. Thanks for listening. See you tomorrow for more of the Waipea Weekly.